Hi, I'm Brandy with In the Park Manufactured Home Sales. Welcome to another exciting episode of In the Park with the Experts. In this episode, our owner and dealer, Anne-Marie Jones, is interviewing expert Roberta Kurlaender from MyNHD about all of the natural hazard disclosure questions we hear often from our buyers. Check it out and make sure to like and subscribe to become a more educated buyer today.
Hi everyone, welcome back to In the Park with the Experts. Today we are here with my NHD rep, Roberta Kurlaender. I am Anne-Marie Jones. I'm the dealer for In the Park Manufactured Home Sales. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about why natural hazard disclosures are so important in a transaction that involves a mobile and manufactured home. Roberta, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Anne-Marie, and honored to be part of your team and to talk about NHD. First of all, what is MyNHD? That's actually the name of my company, but NHD is a natural hazard disclosure report necessary for every sale in California. It is a mandate, and it's there to protect all parties involved in purchasing the property, mobile home, manufactured home. If there's any natural hazards either nearby or on the parcel, there's 6 that we have to disclose: to fire, to flood, and to earthquake seismic.
So you're mentioning that there's 2 of each. Mm-hmm. What could to fire mean?
Well, high fire or low fire, moderate. Also, if it's a state zone fire or if it's just a local zone. So there's different zones in each category.
Got it. Mm-hmm. But every report for every home includes all of them, regardless of the location.
That is correct.
Okay.
And by the coast, you're going to get more of the flood zone coming up, which is important for insurance implications so that the buyer can start shopping for flood insurance right away if it does designate the benchmark that it is in a flood zone.
We've known each other for a long time, and I really appreciate your knowledge. So when a transaction happens, so I'm the listing agent, I sell something, who's responsible for ordering the report?
Typically, it's the transaction coordinator, but a lot of times it's a case-by-case basis. A lot of times the realtor likes to order it right away. Sometimes people wait until escrow opens, and then the TC orders it, or the escrow officer. But if you're smart, you want to get ahead of the game. You want to order the NHD report as soon as you take a listing, because that way you head off any challenges and you find out exactly if there are any hazards going on in the parcel right away. Like I mentioned earlier, floods, flood zone, then you can get the buyer shopping for flood insurance right away as soon as you get into escrow.
So in both traditional real estate and mobile and manufactured homes, there's a form called the transfer disclosure statement.
Correct.
And that's why these are required in the state of California.
Yes.
So almost getting that report at that time when you're taking the listing and being able to present that to potential buyers, because knowledge is power, makes more sense than waiting to the end.
Absolutely. And you being the professional you are, you always take the extra step and the extra mile to get the disclosures to the customer right away. So there's no surprises. I feel like full disclosure means no surprises. And that's why you always want to order it and have your transaction coordinator get it as soon as you take a listing. Many of my customers also order the report prior to even going on a listing appointment. It's very impressive to the seller, and that way the seller knows what's going on in their parcel, because most of them have no clue.
It's definitely peace of mind.
Yes.
Yeah. So I do like that. I like the idea of being able to inform the seller that this is very important and why it's important. Same way as a home warranty. So kind of having that whole presentation makes it very different than your competitor.
Very much so.
Exactly. So I know that with this is part of a closing cost. And so the seller is absorbing the cost of it, but it's definitely something that protects both the buyer and the seller. So it's an advantage to add that into the cost.
Absolutely. And it's very inexpensive. A standard report is only $74.95. If you want to add the environmental portion, which is an extra $20, the whole thing is $94.95. And that even gives you a higher layer of protection. I can talk about what environmental means as an extra fee if you want to add that on.
That's great. So during the process, I know for my company In the Park, when we present a transfer disclosure statement to a buyer that's looking at the home. We present the report.
Right.
How would someone else access that report before closing?
They can order it. They can get the TC to email it to the buyer. And typically it's the buyer's responsibility to read it because the buyer has to sign it.
Mm-hmm.
And by signing it means they've acknowledged the contents. If they have any questions, because our report's very easy to read, we have a summary page that makes it easy to see if there's anything that's in a natural hazard zone, because we have in and out boxes, so it's very easy. And if they still would like more information on what does this mean, we're happy to answer those questions. They can either call myself or my customer service line. And even an added benefit, Anne Marie, is we have a geologist on staff.
Oh, wow.
And this geotech can really get deep on different questions and pull maps and whatever the buyer needs to, because it's all about the buyer feeling comfortable and having the peace of mind of what he's buying, not just the structure, but the dirt underneath.
And speaking of peace of mind, I'm really happy to announce that my NHD is the only company that will indemnify mobile home dealers and salespeople, licensed HCD salespeople. So it was a work in progress. Your team and I worked together for the verbiage, and we're very excited that we were able to make that change and include our industry, because our industry is included in what the code is.
Yes.
And so when we talk about that, the protection for our industry, what does that mean for us?
So we're really proud of this, and it's a game changer. And what Anne Marie means is we'll indemnify legally all parties in the transaction: the seller, the buyer, the salesperson, the escrow officer, the TC, everybody involved. That if we ever make a mistake, meaning we ever omit something on the report that could cause damages and a lawsuit, we will indemnify and pay for all costs if that comes to that. Also, we've been in business for over 20 years. We've never been sued, which means we've never been wrong. Mm-hmm. So that kind of thing is huge, because the natural hazard disclosure industry is not regulated by the Department of Insurance. That means it's pretty much the Wild West out there, and there's no one policing these companies to guarantee their report and the accuracy of the data. Not us. We are indemnifying that the data is correct, and if it isn't, we will pay the legal fees. And when you mentioned the HCD dealers, the salespeople that you guys work under your mobile home industry, we cover you as well. And that verbiage is in every report, the last paragraph.
Very exciting.
So we walk the walk, we talk the talk, we have the writing behind us to back us up. So very proud of that. And thank you for mentioning that. So you guys are definitely talking about the right company to be with for protection.
Something I'm sure our viewers are going to ask, as well as our sellers and the agents, quite honestly, is a report needed for every time that home sells? So if I sell 123 Main Street today and I sell it 2 years from now, do I need another report?
Yes, great question. You do. The reason is our environment we live in is ever changing. So the natural hazard world is always changing. You saw how much rain we had this year. Landslides is crazy.
Hurricanes.
Can never predict this stuff. And last year we were in a drought.
Right.
So what that means to you is flood maps are ever changing. Fire maps are ever changing. So that's why every time you do sell, you have to get a report on that parcel. And it's important because you want up-to-date real-time information. So that's pretty much why you do need a report, a new one, even if the property sold 2 years ago.
Great. That's very good to know.
Yes.
So anything else that we should know about a natural hazard disclosure that's important to both the buyer, the seller, and the agent as well?
Okay. Well, I would say that I mentioned the environmental portion of the report. That is an optional. You don't need to pay that extra $20 and get the environmental on there, but I actually recommend it. For the extra money, you get a deeper level of disclosure And environmental will show what's going on underneath the dirt. We
Oh,
call it where
that's-
the bones are buried.
Yeah.
And we've sold properties or we've done reports in the coastal areas around Huntington Beach and Fountain Valley, not necessarily mobile home parks, but sometimes there'll be oil wells,
You're
whether
right.
they're underneath, by the beach or within a mile radius. Also leaking underground storage tanks, dry cleaners and gas stations carry these underground storage tanks.
Right.
Now these can leak. And if they leak, they can get into the groundwater. And you don't want your buyer coming back and saying, why didn't you tell me that there was an issue with the gas station tanks leaking and all that? So this is all in the environmental report.
It's nice.
And it's a great way to give a way of risk management for the transaction. So environmental also will show if a major gas line is going underneath the parcel. So that's always important. So we always want to give the best possible disclosure to you guys, but it is not a state mandate that environmental is ordered. It's totally up to you.
It's just the first part.
The first part, the $74.95, which shows the 6 disclosures I mentioned earlier, those are required by Civil Code 1103.2 in the state of California.
So one of our viewers was asking a question as far as when they get the report and something happens, or when they get the report, are they using that report to modify what their homeowner's insurance is?
The only way that the report affects the homeowner's insurance is if we use it as a benchmark because homeowner's insurance covers damages for like flood or something that could happen and actually cause physical damage to the property. The NHD report will signal if there's like in a flood zone. That will make sure that the client says, oh, it's in a flood zone. I need to start looking for flood insurance.
Yes.
Oh, I'm in a fire zone. I need to start looking for fire insurance.
That's important.
That's how the NHD report kind of interacts with the homeowner's insurance. And as you guys all know, homeowner's insurance, the prices have increased.
They have
quite a bit because of all the payouts and the recent stuff that's gone on. But you can still find affordable homeowner's insurance out there if you shop correctly. That's why being ahead of the game and hitting the ground running with an NHD report as soon as you take a listing or as soon as you get into escrow is absolutely critical to the transaction in all parties.
I think that $94, is it $94?
$94.95 that the seller pays.
Right, is so important in
yes.
determining how you're going to allot for your homeowner's insurance.
Yes.
Because if an incident does happen, that extra $20 you're paying for the environmental
Yes.
is huge in what could be damage to your home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And environmental will even disclose airport influence proximity. So if there's airplanes that cause vibration or noise, that is disclosed. Because a lot of clients say, oh my gosh, when I saw the property, there were no airplanes going over, but now I live here and I'm a day sleeper, and you never told me that there's going to be airport noise, and you're covered because it's in here
there
under the environmental. So it's just one more reason the buyer can't say, you didn't tell me. It's great protection for all parties. And California is one of the only states that requires it as a law. We are in every state. We are national. You can do an NHD report in any state with our company, but it's California that requires it as a mandate.
That's nice to know.
Yeah.
Another one of the questions that just came over from one of our viewers is, we talked a little bit about if I sell the same home, does it need the report? Let's talk about homes within the same community.
Correct.
So if I sold 123 Main Street and then the house across the street, 125 Main Street, I need an independent report because.
Yes. Just like a transfer disclosure statement, everyone is custom and individual to the parcel. Even if you're in close proximity to another property, say in a mobile home park, you still need an individual NHD report for that particular space number.
Okay.
The reason is like earthquake faults. Maybe there's an earthquake fault running underneath the dirt of this one space, but not right across the street. The buyer needs to know that.
Mm-hmm.
We disclose these earthquake faults not only if they're on the parcel, but within 1 mile of the property, which people really like. And that's important. And then I also mentioned earlier seismic areas. When I say seismic, I mean landslide zones, because in order to predict if there will be a landslide, we have the maps for if it's in a seismic area, for like a hill or something, a house up, on a berm, etc. So that usually doesn't affect mobile home parks. They're usually on flat land.
Right.
So you don't really need to worry about that as far as this arena. But earthquake faults can be, they're part of living in California. It's just part of, just like if you live in Florida, you're going to have hurricanes. It's a natural hazard we all live with. We all understand.
Yes.
We're not scared.
Right.
But,
we're a little scared sometimes.
Yeah. But, we live with it and we understand it.
Right.
So, but
Yes.
it's a disclosure. And that's
Yeah.
why you have to have custom reports for each parcel.
Yeah. I'm originally from Chicago. So, yeah, earthquakes frighten me a little bit.
They all do.
Right. The
but-
big one.
Yeah.
One of the other questions that our viewers did ask as well, and I was just about to present that to you, was about the earthquakes.
Yes.
So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yes.
It's very important in all of California. You just never know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a trade-off. If you live in the Midwest, you have tornadoes.
Yes.
But we have that, but it's right there in writing, and we have maps too. So not to worry. We've got it all on paper for everyone.
And so $94.95 is the complete package.
Correct.
And that's the price for anywhere in California.
Anywhere in California, it doesn't matter where you're selling.
Mhm.
It's a flat fee. We have not raised our prices in 20 years,
Mhm.
which is great. We're ironclad solid, very proud of what we present, and really the best company in the industry to protect you guys and make sure that the client is satisfied.
One of the things in the park is very empowered is educating other dealers. And so with that being said, we were also working with M&M Forms and have created some changes to some of our forms, our
Yes.
contracts, to include this. So we're
Yes.
educating not only the other agents and dealers, but educating every single buyer and seller that comes through. When they look on the form and they see my NHD, they then can ask, what is that? How does it work? And that's another opportunity to educate our clients.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's so smart that you guys are adding that to your forms.
Mhm.
I've talked to many mobile home dealers in the past, and they've sort of just not even
Really
Well,
understood.
understood the NHD, and they weren't pushing it. And it's really something that is so critical to all parties, just like the transfer disclosure statement goes
Yeah.
hand in hand.
Well, we're very glad that you came by today.
Thank you so much. We do the work, you get the protection, and we're just happy to be part of your team.
Thank
And
you.
we're always here to help. Hi, I'm Roberta Kurlander. My company is My NHD Natural Hazard Disclosure Reports. You can find us on the web at www.mynhd.com. Our customer service line is 1-800-814-2922. And my personal email is roberta@mynhd.com.